Really should have made a plan before I turn this camera. What up, 4 community, once again, and today we are back with another 4-0 video. Not gonna lie, I do not have a plan for this video. I do not. I'm just gonna talk about what's been on my head recently. I would say what's been on my head recently is walking on water. My mind has been thinking so much about walking on the water, the concept of it. If we were to talk about it in a different sense, when you follow somebody's path, there's footsteps to follow. There's at least a guideline, of where you're going. But when I think about walking on the water with Jesus, I think about it like this: there is no footsteps to follow. You're going. It's like the untrodden ground, the ground that has not been walked before. It's the uncertainty that's below, walking on the water, and there's no footsteps to follow except for going towards Jesus, or Jesus holding your hand wherever He's taking you. You're walking by faith and not by sight, not by the unsureties that are beneath you. It's like a journey fully dependent upon God. Like, for instance, when Peter was walking on the water to Jesus, and he started to walk, and then he looked at the uncertainties, the winds began to blow and stuff, and then he put his eyes on the trouble that was beneath him, the trouble that he was actually walking on at first, and then he began to sink. Jesus calls you towards Him, and in Him calling you, you end up walking where you have not walked before. You're doing something that is not commonly done, up to that point. And getting there has no guidelines. There's no footsteps to follow, like how you're following a breadcrumbs or a track. There's nothing for you to follow except for looking at Jesus. You're only looking at Jesus, and Jesus shows you where to go. He's showing you going towards Him, or that you and Him are holding hands and you're going to your promised land. You feel me? Like, there's no map. There's no map in front of you, but you only have a guide, and that guide is the Holy Spirit. So when I think about walking on the water, I'm thinking about walking where no man has gone, or even if somebody has done it before, you have no footsteps to follow except for the guide, Jesus, who has done it all. It's an interesting scenario because sometimes Jesus calls you to do what other persons are not doing. Sometimes He's calling you actually to be different. It's interesting. He's actually calling you to be different. He's actually sometimes calling you to do what other persons are not doing, what other persons are afraid to do. Like the disciples. You didn't see any of the other disciples saying, "Okay, me too." Even Peter was actually walking. You didn't see any of the disciples saying, "Okay, me too." It was only Peter. Sometimes only a few persons actually get out the boat and decide to actually step out into the unknown. Looks like if heaven is coming down. But yeah, you don't see any of the other disciples saying "me too." You only see Peter saying, "Lord, if it's you, allow me to come." And I always say it was Jesus, so Jesus ain't gonna say it's not me, don't come. He's saying, well, okay, it's me, you can come. Peter walks in the water. You find a lot of times a lot of us are afraid to walk with God, and afraid to step out by faith, even because we may be listening to the other persons that are still inside the boat, who might even be saying, don't walk on the water, don't walk where Jesus is telling you to walk. And it might not even be that plain, but it might just say don't do it, but you on the inside, that it's something that God is telling you to do. And sometimes it even calls, even when it feels as though there's no other place you'd rather be than on the water with Jesus. Sometimes you don't want to play it safe. Sometimes you just want to just see where He's taking you and just jump and just go.